Hi, I'm Brian Lepak. I am chair of the Law Practice Management and Technology section of the Beverly Hills Bar Association. Welcome to the program called Running a Virtual Law Practice, the Do's and Don'ts. Before I turn the program over to Ms. Flynn, I want to alert you to things that may be of help to you. One, you can build your practice by joining the network, which is run by the Beverly Hills Bar Association. It's a business group that meets, lawyer group, that meets every third Monday of the month. I want to let you know that you could join Beverly Hills Bar Association if you're not already a member. And you can look on the website to get information on the best way you can join. With regard to your MCLE certificates, usually those will be mailed to you within a day of the program. And with that, I turn the program over to Ms. Flynn. Thank you for being here for us.
Thank you, Brian. It's so good to be here. This is seriously one of my favorite topics, running a virtual law firm. I have spoken on this a lot lately, actually, since COVID has hit. And even though I'm an employment lawyer and I'm just like you guys, it's really good to be here. And I really want to encourage questions. So please chat me, please, put questions in Q&A. I'm happy to answer anything I can. And, I know this is being recorded, but I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that because I can't speak very candidly about how I run my firm, but I'm happy to help, even after this or throughout with questions and just help any attorneys out there who are looking to grow their firm and run a virtual law practice. And, this talk was originally scheduled about 2 weeks ago. Thursday it will be 3 weeks. And 2 weeks ago, I started not feeling well and I got worse and worse and worse. And I was supposed to speak on that Thursday. And by Thursday morning, I was in so much pain, healed over, like not feeling well at all. And my husband had an urgent care appointment for a COVID test that morning. And it was at 10 a.m. And he's like, hey, do you want to come with me? I have an urgent care appointment. And I'm like, no, I'm totally fine. And by 9 a.m., I was in so much pain. And I was supposed to come speak to you guys at noon that day. And by 9 a.m., I'm like getting on my shoes. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go to urgent care. This is not good. And my husband drives me to urgent care. I'm puking in the lobby of urgent care. And they're like, sorry, ma'am, we can't see you. You have to go to the emergency room. So I get to the emergency room and, it's never a place you want to go, let alone in a pandemic. And they ended up taking me right in. I ended up having emergency surgery and getting my appendix removed. And so I thank you all for coming back. I know I've been recovering, but it's really good to be here this morning. And I just share that story because even though so much of what we're talking about today is running a virtual law firm and having to switch because of COVID and the lockdown and everything that's happened in the last year and, running out of toilet paper in March of 2020, right? Not everything is COVID related. And I've been running a virtual law firm for 7 years now. And my whole team has been virtuals from day one. And so I'm excited to share this with you guys. So I put together just a very, very basic PowerPoint. And I will share that before I forget because I was doing a speech a couple months ago and got halfway through my presentation when I realized I wasn't sharing my screen. So let me share this with you guys. And my email address should be on these slides so that you can email me or contact me if you have any questions or anything I can help with. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat right now. Program and materials can be found there. And so if you have any errors with it, I'm sure the Beverly Hills Bar Association can help us figure it out, or email me directly. I'm happy to, give any information I can. So background, started my practice 7 years ago. I have 5 full-time attorneys who work for me. They all focus on employment law. I have 1 part-time attorney. All of my attorneys who work for me have 12 plus years of experience. I've been out of law school, graduated 10 years ago, passed the bar the first time, and worked for a few different firms and then started my practice. And I have 2 great paralegals. I have 1 receptionist. Our firm is located in Pasadena, and our whole focus is employment defense, frankly, because when I was a kid, my parents were in a printing company, and they got hit with some very difficult employment issues over the years that they ran it. And ultimately, they ended in bankruptcy and divorce. If you've heard me speak before, you've probably heard that story. But, I knew early on I wanted to be an employment lawyer, not a bankruptcy attorney. No offense if there are bankruptcy attorneys on the call today, or a family law attorney. No offense, Brian, or other family law attorneys out there. But I wanted to help small, medium-sized businesses in California with their employment law needs. So, and thank you for the, okay. Glad I'm okay. Okay, so one question I get on running a virtual law firm is, how do you handle the administrative workflow? And a part of it, let me move this over. A part of it is, I've hired really experienced staff. A lot of my staff I've known for 20 years. I started working at an employment law firm when I was in high school, and I ended up being there for 8 years through high school, college, law school. And so I've known a lot of my support staff for a very long time now. And we bill hourly, we're all defense, and I know things are a little bit different sometimes with contingency law firms or with flat fee firms, but I do have everybody input all of their time into our system, which we use Clio, and I'll get into that on the next slide a little bit, but I do want to keep track of everyone's time just because it allows me to see who needs work and who doesn't need work and kind of evaluate. But part of what I think helps run a virtual firm is hiring those experienced people. With workflow staff, a new client comes in the door, and that person is generally assigned to 1 attorney from start to finish. They help with everything on the case, and that way they're not feeling like they're being bounced around or anything like that. Part of the questions I get at this point is that transition. How do you transition one person or a client who walks through the door? How do you transition them from you, whose name is on the door, to somebody else? And part of that, in what I say in that transition, is, I know I've known so-and-so for, X many of years, or they have 15 years of legal experience, or they've handled hundreds of cases just like yours. Just anything to ease that transition so that the client feels comfortable with being passed off to somebody else. And I get a lot of questions on that. So if you have more questions on that, let me know. But that's how I do it. And I was just talking through this issue with a good friend of mine who runs her own firm. And she's a 20-year attorney, and she's hired a 30-year attorney to help her. And no matter what that is, you're hiring somebody who can do things better than you. And I think that's also how you grow your firm. So we have a series of, toolkits that we use for running a virtual business. We use Clio for our attorney practice management software. We use Box, which I've found Box to be HIPAA compliant. And so it's that next level of security. We also have been using Zoom for years and started with virtual, face-to-face conference calls a long time before COVID hit. We also use Bamboo HR, which is a system to where people can log in online. They can request time off. They can sign all their employment documents through Bamboo HR. And we also use eFax and TurboScan, which is my new favorite app. If you ever have, oftentimes we have clients who send us JPEGs and they've taken pictures and snapshots on their phone. Well, TurboScan allows you to take a photo of a document and it turns it into a PDF and it makes emailing it out super, super easy. So that's my newest favorite app. Uber Conference is another great app where if you have a conference call scheduled for, let's say, 1 o'clock today, all you do is put in everyone's phone number, and at exactly 1 o'clock, it will automatically call everyone's phone number so that everybody is on the phone at the same time and there's no hold music or waiting or anything like that. That's been fabulous.
Is there a fee for Uber? What's the fee on that?
I think it's $15 a month. So it's reasonable. And it's easy to use. One of a lawyer mentor of mine a couple years ago suggested it. And so it's pretty easy. And then a question I often get is, how do you handle the mail that comes in? And for a long time, I rented office space from my husband's company. He runs a manufacturing company. He has about 100 employees, and they have a whole shipping department. So I tacked on there. But now I have my own office in Pasadena, and I have somebody come in. He's actually the husband of one of my attorneys. He comes in every day for 2 hours, processes all of our mail, and basically comes in and scans it in. And so I've been able to, the last resource I was just mentioning about conference calls was called Uber Conference. Uber, like the car company, the driving app. So hopefully that answers your question. And then I was saying about our mail system. So mail was a struggle for me for a little bit, but then I got somebody to come in just 2 hours a day, process our mail. And I will say this, since I have a captive audience of attorneys, I have an office in Pasadena. It's a wonderful, cute, little office. And my landlord has additional office space for rent. Somebody else in the small building moved out. So if you are looking for office space, reach out to me. I'm happy to put you in touch. She's a great, great landlord. We have a tennis court in the back. It's just a cute, charming little tiny building. I digress. So that's how I do the mail system. Basically, the mail comes in every single day. We have someone in there for 2 hours a day. He opens the mail, scans the mail, and files everything that needs to be filed. And that's our mail system. Everything that needs to go out, he does. And so I've found someone for that. The Procedure Handbook is something that I've been drafting for the last 3 years. I've been having my staff draft it. And it's basically just a plain Word document. The phone thing is Uber Conference. The Procedure Handbook. So I had one of my paralegals, basically when she was coming on board about 3 years ago, I had her list out everything that she was trained on from my other paralegal. And this became our Procedure Handbook. So this lays out our system for how do we take phone calls? Like what is said when somebody picks up the phone? Oh, I should mention this too. What I use for my phone system is Grasshopper, which is very similar to Ring Central. Grasshopper's been great. It allows my receptionist, who's located in Eureka, to answer all of the calls live and then dial everyone's extension who wants, somebody calls in, they're looking for Angela in my office, then he's able to just transfer directly to Angela. Or if he looks on the calendar and knows she's in a client meeting, he can transfer directly to her voicemail. And it also allows you to buzz that person, just like you would be if you were in the same actual physical building. It allows you to buzz that person and say, hey, I have so-and-so on the call. Do you want to speak to them? If not, no problem. Send them the voicemail. If not, you can do a live transfer. So Grasshopper has been great. And so getting back to my procedure handbook, we listed out how to take phone calls from clients, how to label documents. We have everything labeled in the same way. And so all of that is laid out in like 5 or 6 pages just in our procedure handbook. I love this question. So I have a question coming in, how to find good employees, especially for part-time positions. So I have a lot of thoughts on this because I just hired a bunch of new people in my firm as well. So I use 2 sites for hiring, LinkedIn and Indeed. I've found really, really great candidates for both. And something I look for when I'm hiring is that somebody hasn't bounced around from every 18 months, every 3 years, every 2 years. I want people who have worked for like one firm or just 2 firms, not somebody who it's been a year, let me transfer to another firm. So that's something I look for in hiring myself. In fact, I just hired someone who's starting with me on Monday, and I found her on Indeed. And I was thinking in my head, okay, I want somebody who has 5 years experience at the same firm. Like this is a legal secretary position. And prior to that, she had worked at Zara, which is perfect, like good customer service, 5 years from an employment law firm, and then coming to work for us starting on Monday. And she embodies all of the core values that we have in our business. I know core values can be like woo-woo, but I have laid them out with my firm along with our mission and our vision, and we hire and we promote within our core values. So the core values we have, just to share with you, is enthusiasm, communication, adaptability, and professionalism. And so every time I'm looking to hire or promote somebody within the company, I give them a score based on each of these 4 core values, and that's how we hire and that's how we promote. So I hope that answers your question about finding employees, especially for part-time positions. I have found good candidates on LinkedIn and Indeed. And then my most recent attorney hire came from LinkedIn, and she's been phenomenal. She's only been with me a few months, but she is so great. So highly recommend those too. Okay, so I think this was part of the package of stuff I sent to the Beverly Hills Bar Association. I have some articles in there, and then also our toolkit. This is just something I put together because I've been talking about it so much, is the different things that we use. Let's see. Can we have a copy of the procedure manual? If you email me, I'm happy to share with you mine. I don't know how much good it will do you, but it at least will give you some form of skeleton to maybe build off your own. But yeah, I'm happy to share anything I have. I have more good stuff for you. A good question is, what is Kajabi? Okay, so Bamboo HR I briefly talked about. I'm sure we all know what Clio is, eFax, TurboScan, Kajabi. That is a system for if you are creating a lot of videos and you are creating, it's basically video content. And so if you're coming out with something like, I do a lot of employment law updates. One of my missions is actually building out a nonprofit and focusing on how to change California law and education for business owners. And Kajabi is a really good platform for that. It allows you to do like a quick, talk on the newest legal updates for 2021. It allows you to do a quick talk on, the anti-sexual harassment training that's coming out and what you need to know and different forms and things. So you can have subscribers to it. So that's what that is about. Evernote, you probably know, and Camcard, those are a little bit similar in the sense that I use Evernote to take photos of my business cards that I get. Not that we've gotten any business cards in the last year because everything's been on Zoom, but prior to that. And then Camcard, you take a photo of the business card and it automatically updates into your phone. And in Box, when mentioned, I think we all know Box by now. Zoom, Uber Conference, Grasshopper, and then WhatsApp just for international calls or for people who are wanting to hire in California. WhatsApp is a pretty easy thing to do. But I do love Grasshopper. Okay, so I think that takes care of kind of our toolkit. So just to cover some problems, right? Because I feel like in law school, you barely learn how to be a lawyer, right? A lot of it is working for a firm and getting that under your belt. And then, you get all excited, you start your own practice, and there's so many lessons with regard to that, right? I can't even tell you how much I've learned in the last 7 years, but an issue I had. Let me go over some of the issues I have in some of those stories, because that might be, you might resonate as a law firm owner. Most recently, I did every single intake from every attorney or every client who walked through the door. And, I went on maternity leave and, was hoping that things would still kind of flow while I was out of the office. And I realized that in a lot of ways it did. A lot of things were smooth, but stepping back for 6 weeks and taking time off just showed some of the holes and some of the gaps that, we had in our firm, quite frankly. And, so what I do now that has really, really changed my firm is I do a traction meeting, and it is based on the book Traction. I highly, highly recommend it. In fact, I'll go through another book that changed my life too, but Traction is not just for attorneys, but it's for all businesses. And Traction basically starts off with a list of 20 or 25 questions. Rate your firm on a scale of 1 to 5. Do you have your core values? Do you have a weekly meeting with your team? Do you have a vision? Do you have the same meeting with your team at the same time every week? All of these things. And so you can rate yourself from the beginning of the book. And then throughout the book, it shows you how to implement the things that might have holes within the company and how to get things better. And so Traction, I loved. And then I found a book that just came out last year that I'm super excited about called Fireproof. And it is written by Mike Morse. He's built the largest personal injury firm in Michigan, and he might be top 4 in the country, I think. He's doing about $160 million a year in revenue, and he learned, his mentor was Gino Wickman, who was the author of Traction and who helped get EO started, another organization that I belong to, a nonprofit. And basically, Mike Morse wrote a book for attorneys that is based on Traction. And so it's just super inspiring. If you're in a rut, I highly recommend reading it. It'll get you out of that rut. It's just an awesome book. And so even though I digress, part of what I got from that book and Traction by Gino Wickman is that you have a 1.5 hour meeting every week at the same time, the same people. And I do it with all the attorneys in my office. At first, I was doing a traction meeting with just my business coach. And then I opened it up recently or over the last few years to all the attorneys in my office. And we talk about all the issues that are going on. We go over our core values. We go over our mission. We go over our vision for the company in every single weekly meeting. And then we go through our to-do list. We go through our metrics. I have certain metrics that I keep track of for the firm, how many retainers went out, how many got signed. I also look at how many reviews did our firm get last week. I look at how many, every attorney is focused on billable hours. So how many hours did you bill last week? And we go through all of that. And then we have a section in our traction meetings that just focuses on issues. And sometimes, guys, it's not fun. It's not fun to hear where you have holes in the business. But if you don't air those issues out, resentments build, and then people start to hate each other, and it can spiral out of control very fast. So this gives everybody an opportunity to lay out any issues that they see. And sometimes it's an easy, brainstorming issue. Sometimes it's an issue with a new law. Sometimes it's an issue with a client of ours. All of those things that can really, put a damper in the workplace. So that's one of the things we do. Another one, which a lot of attorneys love this, so I'm super excited to share this. I had an attorney 4 years ago fall asleep at a client's office. I get a photo of my attorney from the COO of this business, 100 employees. And the photo is my attorney sleeping like this. And I was mortified. And so I reach out to him and, hey, what's going on? And he basically was like, oh, I ran out of work. And I'm like, what do you mean you ran out of work? And keep in mind, we've been remote from day one. So I didn't realize he was out of work, let alone falling asleep at a client's office because he was out of work. And that week, he had only billed 22 hours. I'm paying him a full-time salary, 6 figures, solid salary, and he's out of work billing 22 hours a week. So from that week forward, every single Wednesday, I get a list from every single attorney in the office with their estimates for next week. And this has drastically changed my business. It made me more forward thinking than looking in the past, because as a business owner, you can look in the rearview mirror and see okay, what did we bill last week? But nothing you do today is going to change that. Whereas if you are looking forward and you're thinking okay, well, what's going to come down the pipeline next week? What are the court appearances? Where do people need to be? Does everybody have enough work? It allows you to make changes today that can affect and positively impact for next week. So every Wednesday, I get a list from every attorney, their list of clients, how many estimated hours they have for the following week, and just a very brief description, 5 hours discovery responses in this case, or, drafting a memo in this case, or, whatever it is that they're working on. And then what I do is I input that into a spreadsheet that only I see, and I can estimate my profit for next week. I can estimate my revenue for next week, and I have each attorney broken down into how much they cost me per week. And this includes all of the software programs that I showed on the previous screen. I include their malpractice insurance. I include how much their bar dues are for the year, and I divide it by 12 and then divide it by 4 essentially. So I get a weekly cost per attorney. And I'm happy to share that with anyone who wants it. My email address is at the bottom, so reach out if that's something you're interested in. But that has made a huge impact on my business. So I can tell you exactly how much revenue we're going to make next week, how much profit we're going to make next week, and whether or not the business is in good health or not. So yeah, always happy to share that. I wish I knew of all the programs that I use now back when I first started my firm, because every few weeks I would come across a new thing and be like, okay, guys, we're switching gears. We're trying this program or we're trying that program. And it was a lot of trial and error. So yeah, that's been great. Okay, so a good question I'm getting right now is how much of your time each week is management of your practice and staff versus actual legal practice you perform for your clients? So what's great at being at the top is you can pick what you work on and what you don't work on, So I work on clients who I genuinely, I don't want to say love, because I love all my clients, but like it varies from week to week, I would say. A lot of running a business is managing staff, which, to be honest, is not my favorite thing. I don't want to have to handle people. I don't want to have to give them that inspiration and want them to be excited about their job and, pet them and tell them oh, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. That is not what I like to do at all. I like this. I like doing the actual legal work. And that was a huge fight between me and my business coach, who's also my husband. When I first started, I was like, I'm a lawyer. I love being a lawyer. I love writing law in motion. I love going to court. I love all these things. And he's like, you're a business owner though. I'm like, wait, no, I'm a lawyer. I went to law school. I knew I was going to be a lawyer from age 10, and he's like, no, but you're a business owner now. And so once I got past that mindset of okay, well, yes, I'm a business owner. Yes, a part of running a practice is definitely managing attorneys and support staff and, all of that aspect. It still gives you the opportunity to really work on what you want to work on. I know when I first started, part of what I wanted to get rid of was opening the mail. Is my time worth opening my own mail? Probably not. You can hire somebody for $20 an hour to help with that. So that's really helped in delegating the tasks. And so part of what this book talks about, my new favorite book, Fireproof by Michael Morse, it's okay, what are you good at and what do you love doing? Focus in that box, right? Don't focus on what are you good at but you hate doing, because that's just going to drain you at the end of the day. I was talking to a criminal law attorney just the other day, and he was like, how do you, what happens if you just delegate too much and then you're not in the know of what's going on, or, anything like that. And, is the best use of your time getting new clients and bringing in business, or is it, going to court for the 1,000th DUI hearing? It's up to you, right? On what you're most comfortable with. So that's what I have to say there. Logistically speaking, I'm getting another client. How or do your staff need to access files? If so, do they log into a cloud-based system? Yes. So we use Clio, which is a cloud-based system for all of our time entries, all of our access to the information on each client, and then we use Box. So we do a 2-factor authentication every time, and which also leads me to another point of you want to make sure, just as an employer, you have your staff sign something that talks about ensuring confidentiality, of course, but also an electronic, I'm forgetting even the name of my own agreement, but basically an electronic use agreement that says if I have sensitive information on my cell phone, I have sensitive information on my laptop, after 1 minute, if no one's on it or touching it, then it will go to the locked screen and screensaver position. So that helps with with anything like that, because I have heard of people doing payroll at Starbucks, and that has led to a lot of issues with, somebody stealing all of your money out of your account. That actually happened to someone. They had their payroll person log in from Starbucks Wi-Fi, and they got $80,000 stolen out of their account. So making sure you're training staff on cybersecurity, which I just heard is going to be $6 trillion this year in lawsuits over cybersecurity. So training your staff on cybersecurity and having them sign an agreement that says if they walk away from their phone or their laptop, it automatically shuts down or needs a password and login. Okay, so working with the team, a question I often get is, when you are supervising, and how do you deal with supervising people, motivating people, and developing and retaining staff? I had one paralegal a number of years ago. Every time I called her, she was in her car. And this is a remote position. So when you're in your car, I know you're probably not in front of your desk looking at email or doing work. So I quickly got rid of her, and I'm making it sound like there's a lot of turnover at the firm. There's actually not. But early on, I just made some pretty bad hiring decisions. And so what I look for now is, experienced people, and I set the expectations early on, right? Like from my attorneys, I want 40 hours billable a week. The Wednesday before, I get a list of all their clients and a quick blurb on what they're working on. And my attorneys, when I first implemented it a few years ago, they were like, wait, what? You want us to do what? And now it's just so second nature that it makes it so much easier. Perfect. So this is a great question. How do you maintain a sense of culture and camaraderie and encourage collaboration when you don't have those water cooler moments and you just can't walk down someone's office? That's a great question. So part of what we do is we do just calling to say hi, phone calls. And, we can't talk about work. We want to, those calls are meant to have that water cooler talk, and everyone is in charge of doing one water cooler, just calling to say hi, phone call every week. So that we are connecting with each other in a more personal level. So that's something that our office does. I also do really fun events for the staff and for the whole team. Last month, we did virtual coffee tasting. If you want a referral to that, let me know. I'm happy to connect you with Tim. He's awesome. He sent everybody different coffee tastings, and then he showed us how to do pour overs, and it was a fabulous event. I've brought in comedians, I've brought in margarita mixologists, I've brought in all sorts of fun things. We've done quite a few virtual escape rooms, which has been really, really fun. If you want a referral to that, I have a client in downtown LA, and he's fabulous. So I do things like that once a month, at least to bond the team, since everyone's remote and we're not getting together in person. Which app program was HIPAA compliant? That was Box. Box is HIPAA compliant. I think you have to do a couple extra steps to make sure you have that compliance, but that's what we use, and that's what I found to be HIPAA compliant. And then another question I'm getting is, how do you meet with clients? In family law, clients want personal contact. If your office is all virtual, where do you meet them? So I do have an actual brick and mortar. It's just one office building though, or it's one office building, yes, but it's just one small office in the office building. And there's only 3 other tenants in the building. So it's a small 2-story, cute craftsman style home, but not home. It's an actual commercial building in Pasadena. And so anytime a client wants an in-person meeting, we meet there. We have access to the conference room, which to be honest, isn't great, but it's fine. My office is cute though. I have a sign. So I do meet people. And if you want to talk about, I'm looking to maybe share my office too. So if you want to talk about that, I'm happy to talk about that with anyone. But yeah, so we only use our brick and mortar office to meet with clients who are really pressing about it, but we haven't had an in-person meeting since March. And, but we have clients who are a little bit different than in family law, right? We're working with business owners who are frankly very concerned about keeping their business open, that they don't necessarily want to come in and meet. We have had a couple clients really push for that, and we've done Zoom meetings, which I know isn't the same thing, but that's how we've handled that. So I hope that helps answer your question. And then another question I'm getting is, how has your business changed since COVID, if at all, since you were already remote? And to be honest, it hasn't changed from a logistical standpoint. We've been paperless from day one. I have one little filing cabinet in the office that is just for originals or things that I can't get rid of yet. But our process has been pretty much for everything. We I shred it, I scan it and I shred it so that we don't have to have paper in the office. I'm actually allergic to paper. Our office hasn't changed that much. In fact, not only that, but one of my paralegals was working out of Colorado. I have my paralegal and receptionist in Eureka. They've been there for like 5 years. When I originally hired them, they were in Orange County, which is where I grew up and where I'm from. And that's where that employment law firm that I worked at for 8 years is. That's how I met her. And so, yeah, it really hasn't changed a lot. One of my attorneys, she is licensed in New York and in California, and she's worked with me now 6 years. And a few years ago, she was living in San Clemente, loved San Clemente, but getting a little bored of it. And she was like, you know what, I'm going to move to Manhattan. So she goes online, she types in Manhattan, and Manhattan, New York comes up. She was thinking it would be Manhattan Beach. So for the last 4 years, she's done heavy litigation work from New York, which hasn't been an issue at all, believe it or not. And now it's even less of an issue because now even jury trials are taking place on Zoom. So we'll see how things end up with 2021. But you can certainly have staff working all over the country for you, and it's actually pretty seamless. So another attorney, actually, this was a few years ago, her husband got a job offer in Hawaii for the whole month of May. And so she ended up working from Hawaii, doing court calls, court appearances at 5:30 in the morning Hawaii time, but it worked out fine. And another question I'm getting is, how do you handle court appearances with so many attorneys out of town? So I only have 2 attorneys. One attorney who's on the East Coast, and then I have one attorney that's in San Diego, but everyone else is local, all the other attorneys, including myself. So if we get like an ex parte on a case where the handling attorney is too far to go the next morning, then, I send one of the more local attorneys, but pretty much all court appearances now, a lot of them are on court call, and so it really hasn't been an issue. And then, I'm always here to step in and go to court as well. So that always helps as backup. As far as motivating, employees, I look for people who are self-motivated, who can work on their own cases with just very minimal oversight, which is why I look for pretty solid, experienced people. I also offer a really flexible schedule, right? Like one of my attorneys wants to pick up her daughter every day from school when that was happening a few years ago. And so we can be super flexible. If you have doctor's appointments, fine. If you have anything, totally fine. Just get 40 hours in a week and we're good to go. And so what I've worked a lot with my team is building out a solid mission which is we advise businesses to ensure compliance with California law and provide vigorous expert defense in employment lawsuits so businesses can thrive. And our vision is to empower businesses to succeed in California. So I look for people who can stand behind that mission and feel inspired with it. Equipment, a question I often get. Before I get to equipment, I have another question coming in. Do I use Zoom to speak with your clients and employees, or do you mainly just use the phone? How do you choose whether to use Zoom or phone? So I use Zoom for my weekly meetings with my team. So I do a finance meeting with the finance people on my team every Wednesday. That's on Zoom. I do a traction meeting every Tuesday with my attorneys. That's on Zoom. And then I do a calendar call every Thursday with my whole team, and those are on Zoom. So as far as my employee meetings go, those 3 meetings every single week, same time, I do on Zoom. When I just do the, hey, just calling to say hi email, or hey, this client has a question on this, or hey, have you seen this newest legal update, then I just call on the phone. And that's kind of how I choose. And then usually with clients, I always prefer the phone, just because I can get outside, walk a little bit. I try and get 10,000 steps in a day, which can be hard when you're sitting here on Zoom meetings all day. So I always try and, sway everybody to the phone, but sometimes clients just want to see you. So of course, I'm happy to do Zoom. Hope that answers your question. Have there ever been any ethical issues with the attorney being in New York? Not that I've come across. If you have specifics, I'm happy to answer, or, if there's anything maybe from an ethical point of view that I'm not thinking about because she's based on the East Coast, let me know. I haven't had any ethical issues. I've known her for a long time, and she just celebrated in October 6 years of being with us. And before that, she worked for 10 years at a employment law firm. So I haven't come across any ethical issues as far as one of my attorneys being on the East Coast. And she does fly in once a year, maybe twice a year, to visit family, to visit friends, and then she always books her mediation in all the depots that same week. So, she's in charge of her own schedule, even though she's salaried, and everybody, I will say, is on salary. I don't use independent contractors, which also comes up a lot, especially with AB5, even though there is a caveat for attorneys. I still have had everybody as W-2s since really close to the beginning. Some equipment that always, comes up in these types of talks are, just to clarify, the attorney I have working on the East Coast, she's licensed in New York and in California. She's licensed in California. She's been licensed in California forever. So, she totally has a license in New York and in California. She's just, lives on the East Coast. So, she has a license. And then another question I'm getting is, although you've been a virtual firm for 7 years pre-COVID, how often would you meet with your team in person and not virtually? Great question. So once a year, I fly everybody in. And sometimes that takes place at a holiday party. Sometimes it takes place just in getting everyone together for a few days of fun stuff. And that would be on me to fly everybody in. So at least once a year. A couple years ago, I planned a firm photo shoot, which was really fun. So I redid our website with all the firm photos from that day. You can check it out. But that was super fun. Also, if you want a referral for a great photographer, she's in Mid-Wilshire area, and she's fabulous. And yes, I have another question coming in about, keep the questions coming, guys. I love it. I'm only talking for another 10 minutes, but I'm happy to answer any other questions. So the process for client intake, yes. So basically, I do a lot of the intake. I want to make sure it's a good fit for the firm and for everything else. And I've found that I have the highest close rate above everybody else in the office, probably because it's my firm and, for various reasons, I don't know. But so I do a lot of the intake, and I always talk to the client. And in that first phone call, I explain, I run a small firm. I have an attorney who has dealt with 100 of these cases. I have an attorney who has 15 years of experience exactly in this type of area that you're looking for, anything like that. And so I set the tone very early on about the transition over. And then when I get off the phone, if they want to move forward with our firm, I fill out a client intake form. Also happy to share with you guys, although I don't know how helpful it will be, but it's basically what the name of the client is, basically all the info you need in order to set up a new Clio matter. What's the hourly rate? What's the retainer deposit? What's the name of the business? Are they a business in California, or is this a poor company that's located outside of California that's decided to hire one person in California and now they're being sued? Any information like that, their contact information. And then I give that to my paralegal, essentially, who can then draft a copy of the retainer agreement. And we always send a draft copy of the retainer agreement first, just so that the client can review it. And then I also, in that email that goes out from my assistant, she also mentions, I'm also CCing, Elizabeth here. Elizabeth is a 15-year attorney. They're going to go over the retainer agreement and introduce themselves to you. So then that client, before even signing the retainer agreement, gets to meet with the attorney who's going to be working on their matter, so that it's a good client, attorney fit, personality-wise. And then from there, once they get off the phone, the attorney will say, hey, Aaron, go ahead and send this through DocuSign. And then we use DocuSign to have the retainer agreement signed. And then we do credit card authorization forms, and we do personal guarantees for all of our clients, which has massively decreased the amount of AR we had. I have a lot of tips on that too. So that helps a lot. And then once we get the retainer agreement signed and back through DocuSign, then we go ahead and set up the matter in Clio, and then the attorney can start working on it. Another question I'm getting, do you have your attorneys enter their time entries directly in Clio? Yes, absolutely. I have all of the attorneys enter their time directly into Clio. And then Clio allows for you to send out bills through Clio. And link with my LawPay account, which I use to process credit cards. And so that's been super easy. I had one of my paralegals doing the billing for a long time as a thank you, kind of, as a courtesy to me, because I didn't have anyone else doing the bills. And I just hired an outsourced company, now CFO. If you want a referral to that, let me know. They are freaking amazing. My husband's been working with their company for years for a CFO position. I have somebody who processes my bills and does it all, and she's amazing and wonderful. And truly, I cannot recommend them more. So if you want a referral to that on help with processing bills, I can introduce you to someone great. And she sends out all of our bills. She collects all the payments, and I don't have to deal with it, which is the best thing ever. Okay. And then another question I'm getting, let me go through the equipment I have just real quick. So the equipment that our firm pays for are laptops, and have it delivered, have it set up for the attorneys. We reimburse for cell phone and internet, which you absolutely need to be doing if you have remote staff. Internet, reimburse them. You don't have to reimburse them for 100% of their internet, but just something to give you a sense. We give $50 a month for cell phone usage, $50 a month for internet usage, and that is necessary. As an employment attorney, you have to reimburse staff for that. I can go into it in more detail later, but just as a bottom line, we also pay for all of their software, and of course their malpractice insurance for the attorneys. So yeah, keep that in mind. Okay. So a couple questions I'm getting, which I love. Thank you guys for making this so entertaining for me. And Brian, let me know if you want me to hard stop at 1:30.
You can do what you want to do. People can leave
perfect.
if they want to go.
I love this topic, so I'm happy to talk for hours. A question I'm getting is, how do I market? So unfortunately, I still bring in 100% of the business to my firm. And so I do this through an organization like the Beverly Hills Bar Association. They are an amazing organization. I've been speaking with them for years, and I think they offered me free membership, I think, and I don't know if you guys still do this, Beverly Hills Bar Association, but the first, right out of law school, 10 years ago. So that was a great way to be connected with them. Brian, if you stop hearing me, let me know. My earpieces just died.
We still hear you.
Okay, perfect. Actually, I don't need them. Okay, so Beverly Hills Bar Association has been a great resource. Another organization I'm a part of is called Provisors, and it accounts for about 40% of my business. I love it. It's a networking organization. It went to Zoom a year ago, but I still get 40% of my business through it, and it's fabulous. I love it. I'm also a part of just every single, bar association that I can think of in order to try and, market the firm. I also give, educational seminars as much as I can to anyone who will listen, including talking about this topic. So that's what I do. The name of the company that does my bill paying is called Now CFO. They're located in, I think, Newport Beach, Irvine area. They're fabulous. I'm happy to do an email introduction if you let me know you want one. And then another question I'm getting is, explain the personal guarantee process you go to. Okay, so just between you and me, and all the people on this call, my AR at one point got up to $250,000, which is a small firm. It's a lot of money, or at least it is to me. And so I did a number of things to nix that, and it's now almost zero. And I don't cut my bills either. So I have a personal guarantee by all of our clients that they have to sign, because we represent businesses. I'm not engaging the individual individually, or the business owner individually. I have them sign a personal guarantee. I have all my retainer agreements say that they have 10 days to review the bill and pay it. And if they don't pay it, I automatically process their credit card on day 11. That has drastically decreased my AR, and I'm not chasing down clients, and nor am I having my poor staff have to do that. And the weekly meeting I have with my finance team has been, just, hey, who's following up with this person? If anyone needs to be followed up with, and that process. So that has helped a lot, and really, and yes, I use Evergreen Retainers. Absolutely. That's changed the business a lot too. So we take a $10,000 retainer that stays in client trust. And I explain it to people on the very first call that it's like when you go to rent an apartment, you pay a security deposit, and every single month your rent is due. Every single month your payment is due on your bill. So that has helped a lot. Okay, I think that takes care of that aspect of questions. Other questions I'm getting is, do I use social media to market your firm? No, I don't. I wish I knew how. I was just telling Brian earlier, I don't even understand Instagram. So I don't use that. I do use a really good marketing company actually called Attack Media. They're located in downtown LA, and they help me implement HubSpot, which I haven't even mentioned yet. It is my CRM, and it is life-changing. It helps me stay in contact with all of my clients, potential clients, and past clients really regularly. And so that has made the biggest difference. A good CRM. It's expensive, but it's worth it. And you might be able to find a discount. Can I share my procedure manual? I'm working on preparing mine from scratch. It would help to see how you tackled it. Yeah, of course, email it to me and I'm happy to send it out. No problem. I don't know how much it will help you or how relevant it is, but take what you like and leave the rest. So yeah, absolutely. Just email me. I'm probably going to get a lot of emails after today's call. Do you audit your attorney's equipment, including routers, to ensure no vulnerabilities? That's probably not a bad idea. I know there are some companies out there that will go and try and hack into your system to see if there are vulnerabilities. The last time I looked into this was maybe a year and a half ago, and we were good to go. So doing something like that, I think, could be a very good thing in order to help save you from a cybersecurity attack. So that's always a good idea. Don't several clients have policies that prevent them from paying by credit card or within 10 days or from signing personal guarantees? Yes, absolutely. And anytime somebody has an issue with any one of those, a little red flag antenna goes up of, yes, okay. So we do work with some insurance companies and their time for billing is months. You're not going to get paid within 10 days. But for the vast majority, clients are fine with that. You don't need 30 days. I have had a few people, put up a huff about personal guarantees, unless it's a big company and it's their corporate counsel that is signing the retainer agreement. Then, we say, okay, fine, you don't have to sign a personal guarantee. But for every other client who has complained about a personal guarantee, they've stiffed me. So now I keep a tighter leash on them. But yeah, that can certainly happen. Do you charge your clients a surcharge for paying by credit card? No, absolutely not. I do not do that. My marketing company is called Attack, A-T-A-K Media, and the owner is Austin LaRoche. He's fabulous. Another question I'm getting, what company made the wall sign with your firm name? So this was actually in the lobby or in my receptionist area. And when COVID hit, I knew I was going to be doing a lot of webinars and on Zoom in March last year. So I stole it from my office and I got another one for the office. I don't know. If you email me, I can look it up. I don't know offhand, but I'm happy to look up the company that did my firm sign name. It was like $650 or something with installation. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm happy to do an introduction. Happy to introduce anyone to anything. Another question I'm getting, would you be willing to share how many hours a week do you spend on firm admin and client development work versus legal work? I'd say it's probably pretty split. A lot of running a firm is running a firm. You can't do everything. And so, I would say it's pretty split between client development, firm administration, and legal work. 50-50, I would say. I mean, I talk through issues with clients pretty much daily. So that's a lot to it.
Cindy, how do you make sure your employees are taking breaks so that you're not hit later with claims that they were working and not taking breaks?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. So I run an employment law firm, and how embarrassing would it be if one of my staff members sued me for wage and hour violations? So what I do, and I'm happy to share this with anyone too, I have them sign basically a very basic, I think it's an Excel, spreadsheet that they turn in every Friday when they clocked in the morning, when they clocked out for their first break, when they clocked in for lunch, out for lunch, their hours throughout the day. And each person who is not an attorney is, hourly and non-exempt. They turn in a timesheet every Friday documenting that. We also have a no off the clock work policy in our handbook, so make sure you have that in yours as well. Because I have seen people get hit where, their doctor's office is closed on Saturday, and for some reason the admin person decided to come in every Saturday and work 12 hours and never tell the owner, and then the owner gets hit with this lawsuit. So there's there's things like that that happen. Also, I don't allow for email or cell phones, or I don't allow for email on the cell phones of my non-exempt staff, my paralegals and my receptionists, because I don't want them answering my emails at 11 o'clock at night when I'm, doing something. If something is a huge emergency, I call them and then I'm paying them for that time. But I want to make sure that they don't have access as available as I am. And then everyone does sign a cell phone policy, laptop policy that says they have the auto lock on their cell phone, passwords on their computers, and they also don't share their laptops with family. It doesn't become a personal computer for everyone in the family to use. So that's a little bit there. Marketing, we have flexibility. Our fees are pretty good, I've heard. And I've never actually promoted running a virtual firm to my clients. I don't think they care. I don't think they need to know. They never ask. They're just assume that we're a normal firm, in a brick and mortar, and we're not. But yeah, it's just reflective in, I guess, essentially a little bit of a lower hourly rate. I have a friend who is a lawyer and he works at a WeWork and loves it. I have a few people who I know work at a WeWork, and it allows you to meet clients all over the city in a place that's away from the client's office or home, because sometimes you're dealing with sensitive information that they don't necessarily want to or can talk candidly and openly on, with people in their close environment. Another question I'm getting is, do you purchase everyone laptops, printers, scanners, etc. for use at home? So I purchase laptops for everyone. Printers, I basically have the mail person who comes in every day, print stuff from the office and mail it out. Other than that, they should not be printing stuff from their office. We want to train everyone and get used to everyone looking at things on the screen, which I provide blue light glasses for anyone who wants them. But ultimately, I don't want a bunch of sensitive information or paper in the homes of my employees. So I really try and avoid that at all costs. Every so often, of course, they need paper for their printer or printer, whatever. Yes, we provide what they need, but yeah, that's what we do. I try and keep that kind of stuff, though, to the only person who goes into our office. All right. Well, I think that's it. I know I ran a little bit over. Thanks, Brian, for accommodating. And any advice I have, if you're contemplating setting up your own virtual firm or going out on your own, just do it. It's been the best decision I ever made. I love waking up to my firm every day. I love what I do every single day. And, when you find that right area of the law, which is, in the right firm to go along with it, you can really, as a lawyer, paint who you work with, the clients you have, and make it a great environment, right? We spend a lot of our time at work every single day, and to be in an environment that you get to design and one that you love, really, what can be better than that? Make sure your employees are well vetted, do background checks on them, assuming you can, right? You don't want to violate California law. But in doing that, do your reference checks, do things like that. Make sure who you hire they're good people. And I do know some really good people looking for work. So if you're thinking about hiring, let me know. And I probably know a connection there too. And then just setting those expectations and KPIs, which are key performance indicators, to everyone that you can. Oh, I just saw a friend of mine on here. Thanks. I appreciate the comment. That's so great. Yeah. And so that's really it. Here's my contact information. If anyone needs anything, always happy to connect. So with that, I will turn it over to you. Right.
Thank you so much. You were wonderful. That concludes our program.